Welcome to the Thought Elevator, the place where you come when you want to give your mind something to do. I'm your host, Olivia, and let's get started. So, today I want to talk about the Mandela Effect. If you're unfamiliar with Mandela Effect, you can Google it. No, I'm joking. I'll try to give you a brief synopsis of the Mandela Effect and where it came from. The Mandela Effect is the idea behind a mass group of people remembering things in the past being different than how it is now. It actually stems from Nelson Mandela. He died in, I want to say, 2013, but there are people who remember him dying in the 80s, and they have vivid memories of hearing about him dying in prison, and so a lot of people were shocked when they heard about his death in 2013 because they thought he was already dead. So, hence the name, the Mandela Effect. If you want to know any more information about that, at that point you can Google it. So I just want to come and bring some of my favorite Mandela effects and see what you guys think and see what you actually remember. So the first Mandela effect that I'm going to start with is one that a lot of people are familiar with if you know about the Mandela effect, and that is the Berenstain Bears versus the Berenstain Bears. Now this one caught me off guard. I want to say that I was already aware of the Mandela Effect when I seen this, or either this prompted me to look into what was going on. But either way, a lot of people remember the Berenstain Bears being spelled Stain with an E, but now it is spelled as Berenstain with an A. And the first time I saw it is when my son was real little and I was watching Sprout with him, and I actually heard the theme song and she was singing the Berenstain Bears. And the first time I heard it, I just kind of thought I misheard it. And then when I heard it again in the song, I was like, why is she saying it like that? It's the Berenstain Bears. Why is she saying Berenstain? Well, I go and look at the TV guide and sure enough, it's Berenstain. I'm like, wait, no. I specifically remember the Berenstain Bears when I was little. I had the little bear that read the books to me with the VHS to watch the tape along with him reading to me. I absolutely remember it being Bernstein and not Berenstain. Tell me, what do you remember? The second one is another one that drives people crazy because if you're aware of the Mandela Effect, you've probably heard of this one. And this is the movie Shazam, where Sinbad was a genie. There's absolutely no record of this anywhere. And Sinbad has even done an interview saying that he'll give out a reward if someone can find footage of this movie because he never did a movie as a genie. And this one bothered me too because I remember watching this movie when I was little. And no, I think I can tell the difference between Shaq and Shazam and Sinbad. Now, as far as the title of the movie, I'm not gonna lie. Shazam sounds right, but I'm not sure if that was the title of it. But I specifically remember Sinbad being in a movie as a genie with the gold hoops and the vest that he had on and all of that stuff. And I even Googled to see if I could find a movie or a show where he wore similar attire that might have been confusing. But I cannot find anything with him in the attire that I remember him in. And the reason I remember this so vividly is because there was a time where there were a lot of movies out with Sinbad in it when I was little, and one of my favorite movies to watch on the Disney Channel was The First Kid, which was starring Sinbad. And not long after that is when Shazam, if that is the title of the movie, came out with Sinbad as a genie. I always remember when I was little, I wondered why they had two genie movies out at the same time with him and Shaq. But I thought, okay, maybe genies are coming back or whatever. I didn't think too much about it. But do you remember the movie Shazam? Do you remember seeing Sinbad in a movie as a genie? Let me know in the comments below. So the third one that I want to talk about is Interview with a Vampire. I've always been a fan of anything vampire related, so I have seen this movie. And I specifically remember it being called Interview with a Vampire. So one day when I was watching another video about Mandela Effects, it popped up, do you remember Interview with a Vampire or Interview with the Vampire? So I want to know, which one do you remember? I'm going to go ahead and tell you, if you remember Interview with a Vampire, you are absolutely wrong because now it is Interview with the Vampire. And that doesn't even sound right, but whatever, we'll let them have it. I remember it being Interview with a Vampire. That even sounds better than Interview with the Vampire, but whatevs. The fourth one that I want to talk about is from a movie that I never even watched, but I remember everyone quoting it. And it's the famous quote from Hannibal Lecter where he says, "Hello, Clarice." But apparently that never happened. He never said that line. Apparently we're all crazy. That was something that was never in the movie. He never said it. But why do so many people remember it and can actually say it to you in the way that they remember it being said? "Hello, Clarice." The fifth one I want to talk about is one that I kind of got mixed up in my head, but I do remember Chick-fil-A being spelt differently. So if you are familiar with Chick-fil-A, I don't know many people who aren't, but if you aren't familiar with Chick-fil-A, it's a place that sells chicken, of course, and it is spelled C-H-I-C-K, but I remember when I was little that chick was not spelt right. It was not the full word chick. Now, there's a couple of there's two different variations of how it was spelled. And I kind of remember both of them, but the one that most people remember is C-H-I-C, and I kind of remember C-H-I-K, but that's not what it is anymore. It's now the full word chick. And regardless if it ended with a C or if it was C-H-I-K, I remember when I was little, it was not spelled properly. And I've tried to look it up to see if maybe, they have the cows that say eat more chicken, if maybe they had the cows misspell it for fun. But no, apparently it has always been chick, never been any different, and I don't agree with it. So the next one that I want to talk about is Jif peanut butter. I remember when I was little hearing about Jiffy peanut butter. Choosy moms choose Jiffy. And apparently it was never Jiffy. It was always Jif. I don't know. I don't agree with that either. The seventh one that I want to talk about is Sex and the City. I never watched the show, but it was very popular, so you always saw stuff about it. And I remember it being Sex in the City. But now, if you go and look that up, dun da da da, Sex and the City pops up. Wait a minute. Sex and the City. A lot of these changes, when you say them, they just do not sound right. They don't flow well. It doesn't make sense. But Sex in the City sounds a lot better than Sex and the City. But apparently it was never Sex in the City. It was always Sex and the City. Whatever. Tell me whatever you want me to believe. So the next one is one for Disney fans. If you remember the movie Snow White with the evil queen, she looks in the mirror and says what? "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all?" Nope, that ain't what she said. She said, "Magic mirror on the wall." What? So if you go and look it up, it's gonna say she never said mirror, mirror. You are wrong. If you believe it said mirror, mirror, she's always said magic mirror. I don't know about that, but let me know how you feel about it. Now, number 9, this one really freaked me out because I was into a lot of different things as a teenage girl than I am now. And so there was a time where I went through like this Aqua phase. And if you're not familiar, Aqua is like this weird ass group from the late 90s, whatever. But anyways, they had a very popular song that most people are familiar with, and it is Barbie Girl. The lyrics goes, "I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world, made of plastic, life's fantastic." So I was watching a video, I only hit a lot of stuff off of videos, bro. So I was watching a video and it mentioned the Mandela Effect with Barbie Girl. And I'm like, what? There's not a Mandela Effect with Barbie Girl. Well, now, if you go and look up Barbie Girl by Aqua, the lyrics are now, "I'm a Barbie girl in the Barbie world." And I'm like, once again, it doesn't sound right. You can't necessarily say that people misheard it, because when you listen to it now, it clearly says, "I'm a Barbie girl in the Barbie world." She didn't say the, that you might get it confused. She said, I'm a Barbie girl in the Barbie world. And I'm like, no. You can't tell me that it's always said that. It has not always said that. When I was growing up and listening to this song, I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world, it is not the Barbie world. I don't care what you say, it's not. What do you think? Now the last one threw me for a loop. This one is the one that probably bothers me more than any other Mandela effect that I'm aware of at the moment, and it has to do with I Love Lucy. Now, I'm 30 years old, so when I grew up, Nick at Night was full of really old shows like I Love Lucy, I Dream of Jeannie, Bewitched, The Munsters, Beverly Hillbillies, Petticoat Junction. That's what Nick at Night was when I was a kid, and I'm sure if you're young, you have no idea what I'm talking about. But most people are familiar with I Love Lucy just because it was such a staple at that point in time that it has lived on past a lot of the other shows that you don't see as much anymore unless you watch like TV Land or whatever. There was a quote that Ricky always said in all the I'm not going to say in all the episodes, but there was a very famous line that Ricky Ricardo always said to Lucy whenever she had did something and he was finding out about it. Lucy, you got some splaining to do. It never failed. Lucy would get in trouble. He would say that line, and Lucy would go, wah. But I love that show. I watched it all the time when I was little. My mother's name is Linda, and so when I was little, I'd go through the house, and if something happened, I would be like, Linda, you got some splaining to do. I don't know how in the world they have erased this, where there is not a single instance of Ricky Ricardo ever saying, Lucy, you got some splaining to do. He never said it. And I'm just like, why are y'all effing with my head? I know he said that line. I know he said it. I used to say it all the time when I was little. That's not something that I just came up with off the top of my head. There are a lot of other people who are really confused by this, but there is not a single instance in any episode where he ever said that you can find today. Did you ever watch I Love Lucy? Do you remember, Lucy, you got some splaining to do? Or are we all just crazy? So those were my top 10 favorite Mandela effects. There's a lot more, and if you're interested, let me know in the comments below, and I will post some more and go a little bit deeper into this. But my biggest thing is, what causes the Mandela effect? A lot of people blame it on mass confusion, where someone says something and it sounds right and it just kind of spreads and a lot of people get it wrong. But there are some key things that you just can't have so many people remembering it the exact same way, but being wrong with how they remember it. Some of these, I guess, could be debatable, but I mean, the line from Hannibal Lecter, the line from I Love Lucy, the line from Barbie Girl, like some of those are just so big in pop culture that you can't just tell us we're all remembering it wrong. Personally, I think something is going on with CERN and it has completely altered our reality, but that's a topic for another day. And if you're familiar with CERN or you're not familiar with CERN, if you're familiar with CERN or if you're not familiar with CERN, that is a very interesting topic. And if you would like me to go deeper into it, I would love to go deeper into it. But other than that, let me know if you've ever had any of these Mandela effects happen to you, or is there something that you remember differently from everyone else, but you remember it so vividly that you know you're not wrong. Comment and let me know if you enjoyed this video. Share it with your friends. Be sure to like it. And I ain't got no subscribers, so subscribe just for the hell of it. It don't cost you nothing. Thank you. Mwah.